Stop, my child, if you feel restless lately, not tired, not overwhelmed, not busy, but restless. Listen carefully, because this message is not for everyone. This message is for the one who feels something shifting inside, but cannot explain it with words. You wake up and you feel it before you even open your eyes, a subtle unease, a quiet pressure, something that does not hurt, but also does not let you rest. You go through your day, you talk to people, you finish your tasks, you smile when required, yet something inside you stays unsettled. And at night, when the noise finally fades, when distractions stop working, that feeling returns, not as fear, not as panic, but as awareness, a sense that something is unfinished, a sense that something is asking for your attention. You have tried to ignore it. You have tried to distract yourself. You have tried staying busy. You have tried scrolling longer, sleeping earlier, sleeping later, but the restlessness keeps finding you, and you quietly wonder if something is wrong with you. God says, nothing is wrong with you. You have not been anxious for no reason. You have not been unsettled by accident. And you did not arrive at this moment randomly. At 11:11, patterns break. At 11:11, the noise lowers. At 11:11, what has been hidden rises gently to the surface. This is not coincidence. This is timing. You are feeling restless because something within you has outgrown its surroundings, and growth never feels comfortable. You are not broken. You are not failing. And you are not being punished, you are being prepared. But preparation rarely feels peaceful at first. It feels like discomfort. It feels like questioning. It feels like no longer fitting where you once belonged. And that is why this moment matters. Because if you misunderstand this season, you will think you are losing peace, when in truth, God is removing what no longer belongs in your life. You have noticed it already. Things that once excited you feel dull. Conversations that once energized you feel empty. Noise feels heavier than before, and silence feels louder than ever. Even when everything around you looks fine, even when nothing obvious is wrong, inside, you feel slightly misaligned. God says, this is not confusion. This is discernment awakening. Restlessness is not always a sign to escape. Sometimes it is a sign to pay attention. And right now, I am not asking you to run. I am asking you to listen, not loudly, not forcefully, but clearly. You have been trying to calm this feeling when you were meant to understand it. You have been asking me to take it away. While I have been using it to guide you, this restlessness is not meant to harm you. It is meant to redirect you, because there is something in your life, something subtle, something familiar, that cannot go with you into what is next, and your spirit already knows it. Even if your mind is still resisting it, that is why peace feels delayed. That is why rest does not settle easily. God says, I am not withholding peace from you. I am protecting you from settling too soon. If I made this season comfortable, you would stay where you are, even though this place was only meant to be temporary, and you were never created for temporary alignment. You were created for truth, for growth, for movement with me. And alignment always comes after discomfort. So if your heart has been restless lately, do not leave. Do not rush, because in the next part, I will show you exactly what this restlessness is pointing to and why ignoring it would keep you stuck. Stay here. This is only the beginning. God says, the restlessness you feel is not coming from your circumstances. It is not coming from people. It is not coming from delay, and it is not coming from failure. It is coming from misalignment. There is a difference between being busy and being aligned. And lately, you have been functioning, but you have not been flowing. You wake up, you move through your responsibilities, you meet expectations, you keep going, but deep inside, something feels slightly off, as if your outer life and inner life are no longer moving in the same direction. That is why peace does not stay. Peace cannot settle where resistance lives. You have been asking me to calm you down, but I have been trying to wake you up. You have been praying for relief, while I have been calling for release, because I cannot bring new peace into a heart that is still holding on to something I already asked you to outgrow. This is why the restlessness feels confusing. One moment you feel hopeful, the next moment uneasy. One moment you feel close to me, the next moment distant, and you quietly wonder what you are doing wrong. God says, you are not doing anything wrong. You are simply standing between old obedience and new instruction, and that space always feels uncomfortable. There's a decision you have been postponing, not loudly, not dramatically, but subtly. A truth you keep brushing past, a realization you keep delaying, a door you know is closing, yet you keep touching the handle, hoping it might still open the same way, not because you are weak, but because familiarity feels safer than faith. This is where restlessness begins, when your spirit is ready to move, but your mind wants certainty first. When your heart recognizes my voice, but your comfort asks for more time. God says, I am not confusing you. I am confronting what no longer aligns with who you are becoming. That relationship you keep questioning, that habit you keep justifying, that version of yourself you already feel distant from. You feel restless because you are trying to stay where you no longer belong, and peace will not follow disobedience. Just to make you comfortable, I love you too much for that. So I allow the restlessness to speak. I let it nudge you. I let it stir you. I let it unsettle you, because silence would keep you stuck. And you were never called to stay stuck. You were called to move with me. But hear me carefully now. Restlessness is not a command to rush. It is not a push into chaos. It is a signal to prepare. Preparation happens inwardly, long before anything changes outwardly. That is why nothing around you has shifted yet, because the shift must happen in you. First, your thinking, your attachment, your tolerance for what drains you. God says, you cannot carry the next season with the weight of the last one still in your hands. Something must be released. Something must be surrendered. Something must be trusted back into my care. And this is where many people miss what I am doing. They wait for peace before obedience, but peace comes after alignment, not before. So if you have been feeling restless, do not numb it, do not distract it, do not label it and dismiss it. Sit with it, listen to it, because in the next part, I will show you what happens when this restlessness is ignored, and what begins to shift the moment you respond to it. Stay here. This is unfolding exactly as it should. God says, right now, there are two paths quietly forming in front of you, not loudly, not dramatically, but gently. One path is quiet obedience. The other is comfortable delay. Both feel harmless at first. Both look manageable. But only one leads to peace. If you ignore this restlessness, it will not disappear. It will change its form. What begins as restlessness slowly becomes irritation, irritation becomes heaviness, and heaviness becomes exhaustion. Not the kind of exhaustion that comes from hard work, but the kind that comes from inner resistance. You begin to feel tired. Even on days when nothing demanding happened, your energy feels scattered. Your motivation feels inconsistent. And you may not understand why. God says, this is not because life is attacking you. This is because you are carrying something you were never meant to keep carrying. Delayed obedience always feels like emotional fatigue. You begin to notice it in subtle ways. Things that once mattered lose their spark. Joy feels muted. Clarity feels foggy. Even familiar places feel distant. You may start blaming your circumstances, your routine, your environment, when the real tension is happening within. This is what happens when restlessness is ignored, not punishment, not abandonment, but pressure. Pressure created by resisting growth. Yet hear me now, if you respond to this restlessness, even quietly, even imperfectly, something begins to shift, not immediately around you, but deeply within you. Peace does not rush in like noise. It does not announce itself loudly. It settles in slowly, like breath returning to your chest. God says, the moment you stop fighting me, you will feel lighter, even before anything around you changes. Obedience does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like choosing differently. Without explaining yourself, sometimes it looks like releasing something. Without needing closure, sometimes it looks like trusting me, without knowing how the story ends. Sometimes it looks like stepping away from what feels familiar. Sometimes it looks like choosing alignment over approval, and that quiet choice is where peace begins, because peace is not the absence of difficulty. Peace is the absence of inner resistance. You have been resisting, not because you lack faith, but because you are afraid of loss, afraid of being wrong, afraid of disappointing others, afraid of stepping into something unfamiliar. God says, what you are afraid to release is already costing you more than you realize. I am not asking you to leap blindly. I am asking you to trust intentionally, to trust that I see what you cannot see yet, to trust that I know what lies ahead too. Trust that I would not unsettle your spirit unless something better required movement. This is where many misunderstand what restlessness means. Restlessness does not mean something bad is coming. Often, it means something new is waiting, but the old must loosen its grip first. You do not need to announce your obedience. You do not need to convince anyone. You do not need to have every answer prepared. You only need to stop resisting what you already know. God says, you have prayed enough about this. Now it is time to trust me with it. And when you do, peace will not arrive as excitement. It will arrive as relief, relief from forcing, relief from pretending, relief from holding everything together alone. And that relief is the confirmation you have been asking for. In the next part, I will speak directly to your fear and show you why you are not at risk. Even though it feels unfamiliar, stay here. This is still unfolding, God says. I know what you are afraid of. You are not afraid of obedience itself. You are afraid of what obedience might cost you. You are afraid of losing something familiar. Even if it no longer gives you peace, you are afraid that if you let go, nothing will replace what you release. You are afraid that silence will follow, that emptiness will remain, that you will stand exposed, and that fear makes you hesitate. But hear me clearly now. You are not standing on unstable ground. You are standing on protected ground. What feels uncertain to you is already known to me. What feels risky to you has already been accounted for. I have not brought you this far to let you fall. This restlessness did not arrive to strip you. It arrived to shield you, because there are things you cannot see yet, things happening quietly beneath the surface, and if I allowed you to stay comfortable, you would never notice the danger ahead. So I disturbed your peace gently before it could be taken forcefully. This is not loss. This is protection. You are not being asked to walk alone. You are being asked to walk lighter. Lighter without the weight of expectations. Lighter without the burden of pleasing everyone. Lighter without carrying what drains you. God says, what I remove from your life is not taken to punish you. It is taken because it would harm you later. You do not see the full path yet, but I see where each step leads. and I would not invite you forward if the ground ahead was unsafe. This is why I ask you to trust me here. Trust does not mean understanding everything. Trust means moving even when clarity is incomplete. You have been asking for signs, but this restlessness is the sign. You have been asking for reassurance, but my presence here is the reassurance. I am closer than you think, more involved than you realize. You are not making this decision alone. You are not facing this shift unsupported, even when it feels quiet, even when nothing dramatic happens. I am working in ways you cannot yet measure. You may feel like you are losing control, but what you are really losing is resistance, and resistance is what has been exhausting you. God says you do not need to defend your obedience. You do not need permission to align with me. The ones who matter will understand in time, and the ones who do not were never meant to walk this next part with you. This does not mean abandonment. It means refinement. You are being repositioned, not isolated. You are being guided inward, so your outer life can follow. Do not rush this moment. Do not force clarity before trust. Let the fear surface. Acknowledge it. Then place it back into my hands, because fear loses its power the moment you stop letting it decide for you. I have not brought confusion into your life. I have brought contrast, so you can see clearly what aligns and what no longer does. In the final part, I will show you what waits on the other side of this obedience, and why peace is already closer than it feels. Stay here. You are nearer to rest than you realize. God says, you are not behind, you are not delayed, and you have not missed me, even though it may feel like time has moved forward without you. Even though it may feel like others are settling while you are still unsettled. I have been with you through every quiet moment. I saw the nights when your mind would not rest, when your body was still, but your thoughts kept moving. When you tried to pray, but did not know what words to use. I heard the prayers you never finished, the thoughts you kept inside, the emotions you did not know how to explain, and I did not turn away from you. This restlessness was never meant to frighten you. It was never meant to overwhelm you. It was meant to guide you gently back into alignment with me, because alignment always comes before peace. I allowed this season not to weaken you, but to reposition you. I am leading you away from what drains your spirit and toward what will sustain you long term. Even if it does not look impressive right now, even if it does not feel exciting yet, you are not losing anything of real value. What is leaving your life was already misaligned. What is fading was already complete. What feels unstable was never meant to support your future. What feels uncertain now is only unfamiliar. It is not unsafe. God says, I am not removing peace from your life. I am clearing the path so peace can finally reach you. You do not need to force answers. Clarity will arrive as you move forward. You do not need to rush decisions. Peace will confirm direction step by step. You do not need to fear the unknown, because I am already present there. The season ahead will feel quieter, not empty, but settled. Your mind will begin to rest again. Your thoughts will slow down naturally. Your body will feel lighter without you trying to fix anything. Your spirit will stop fighting because it will no longer feel divided. And one day, sooner than you expect, you will look back at this season of restlessness and you will recognize it clearly. You will see that it was not chaos. It was calibration, not loss, but refinement, not delay, but redirection. This was the moment when everything quietly began to realign. So now, release what I have been gently asking you to release. Not with force, not with fear, but with trust. Place it back into my hands where it was always meant to rest. Trust what I have been inviting you into. Even if you cannot see the full picture yet, Walk forward without dragging yesterday behind you, without replaying old conversations, without carrying expired versions of yourself. You are allowed to move on. You are allowed to choose peace. God says, I am with you. I have not left you, and I am leading you carefully. Nothing about your life is wasted. Nothing about this season is accidental. Even this quiet restlessness had a purpose. If this message reached your heart, pause for a moment. Let your breathing slow. Let your shoulders relax. Let your mind soften. And if you feel even a small sense of peace rising, even a gentle calm settling inside you, that is your confirmation. Type Amen in the comments, not for the algorithm, but as a quiet agreement between you and me. Stay connected. Stay present. I am not finished speaking to you.